You are about to listen to the words of Fethullah Gulen, a distinguished Islamic scholar and thinker. In this podcast, you will hear his essay, 100 Rak'ahs of Salah Every Day.
The companions of the Prophet would never get enough of worship, particularly Salah. Moreover, they instructed their righteous disciples to also excel in Salah. For example, Atta ibn Rabah would recite 100 verses from Surah al-Baqarah, even in his old age, although he had grown frail and powerless. His concentration during Salah would never let him feel the tiredness of his body. Muslim Ibn Ibrahim uses the following expressions about Shu'ba bin al-Hajjaj, one of the great imams of the third generation of Muslims, Taba al-Tabi'un. Whenever I went near Shu'ba, other than the makruh, disliked times, I would see him while observing Salah. Abu Qatan makes the following addition. Had you witnessed the time Shu'ba waited in ruku, you would say he probably forgot about the prostration. Had you seen him sitting between the two prostrations, you would think that this time he probably forgot the second prostration. In the era when these lovers of Salah lived, observing 100 units, Rak'ah, a voluntary, optional nawafil Salah, was almost something ordinary. They would observe Salah so much that most of them gave their last breath on the prayer rug. For example, when Abu Ubaidah al-Basri from the generation of the Tabi'un passed away, he was standing in Salah. It was not at all rare to find people who for decades prayed through the night and observed the Fajr prayer with the same ablution from Isha, including Wahb ibn Munabbih, Tawus ibn Kaysan, Sa'id ibn Musayyab, and Imam Abu Hanifa. Another exemplary person from that period is Junayd al-Baghdadi. Junayd never missed Salah in congregation at all, or even the first takbir, for some 30 years. If he felt that a bit of worldly thoughts made their way into his heart and he could not feel the truth of Salah, he would re-observe that Salah. He had taken it as a habit to observe 400 units of voluntary Salah every day. For some 30 years, he dedicated himself entirely to worship, abstaining from sleep entirely after the Isha prayer. Another exemplary person is Abu Uthman al-Nadi. He was one of those who were not able to see the Prophet in spite of living during the age of bliss. Abu Uthman was a person who observed 100 units of Salah between Maghrib and Isha. Likewise, Bishr ibn al-Mufaddal and Bishr ibn Mansur had taken it as a habit to observe 400 units of Salah every day. One of the distinguished caliphs of the Abbasid state, Harun Rashid, observed 100 units of Salah every day, including during his term as caliphate until he passed away, which is an important and good example in terms of indicating the enthusiasm for worship which permeated souls in those times. Actually, if we delve into the historical resources of Islam, we will find numerous examples related to this subject matter. We will see that people who observed hundreds of units of Salah were not rare at all among the righteous predecessors, Salaf al-Salihin. Just a useful reminder here, there is no difficulty in religion. Islam is based upon ease. Although the Prophet himself observed Salah until his feet were swollen, he only guided his ummah to what they are capable of and counseled against their undertaking anything beyond their capacity, including worship. In this respect, both issues of feeling Salah thoroughly and observing many Salahs remain as a matter of one's own devotion, spirituality, and spiritual level. All believers are consistently encouraged to strive for higher levels of worship, both in terms of quality and quantity, but compulsion or coercion is out of the question in this respect. Sayyid Nursi said, 1 hour in total will suffice for making ablutions and observing the 5 daily prayers in a basic sense. He pointed to the ease and the essence of religion and drew attention to the objective rules. That is, when a ruling concerns all people, it is necessary to consider even those under the most difficult circumstances. With this essential in mind, Nursi pointed out that Muslims must observe their prayers even under adverse conditions, even if they have to squeeze them into an hour, including the ablutions. He also noted that there will be a share of worship and its reward on the record of deeds of a person who solely performs the prayer as a necessary act without feeling its true meaning in the heart. In other words, Even if someone performs prayers merely as a ritual obligation without truly understanding or feeling its significance in their heart, they still earn some merit and reward for their act of worship. Nursi expounded that while there are various degrees from, say, a mere seed to a fully grown tree, Salah similarly has its own degrees too, and that Salah of any level definitely receives its share from the blessed light of worship. Nursi's remarks may serve to remind ordinary people to have hope. They are not meant to crush people's hopes entirely, but to prevent them from falling into utter despair and to emphasize their objective responsibilities. God Almighty rewards everyone's Salah as He sees fit. However, the central point of the argument we're making is about attaining the truth, spirit, and essence of Salah. In this regard, a believer should, at a bare minimum, definitely observe at least the obligatory fard salahs with a quality of establishing, iqama. In his Isharat al-Hajjaj, Nursi explains that iqama of Salah refers to observing the arkan, that is standing, bowing, prostration, etc., properly, solemnly, and unhurriedly, performing it in continuity and regularity, and maintaining it as perfect as one can along the way. Muslims should genuinely try to maintain all of these aspects with the utmost enthusiasm and never allow this feeling, considerations, and conviction to fade away. With this enthusiasm, one should run to that spring of fresh water at least 5 times a day to purify themselves from aberrations, offenses, and sins. Then, turning to God Almighty with a pure frame of body, mind, and spirit, one should embark on another mirage, rising to the heavenly realms in the presence of God at each prayer time.
You have just listened to the words of Fethullah Gulen brought to life through an AI-generated voice. Known for his teachings on faith, interfaith dialogue, peace, and education, Mr. Gulen also inspired the Hizmet movement, a global initiative that promotes democracy, human rights, equality, and nonviolence. To learn more about Fethullah Gulen and the Hizmet movement, visit fethullahgulen.org.